This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
Welcome to the Supreme Resort, Land v. World, a podcast about Disneyland and Walt Disney World, and which is the Supreme Resort. Each episode, we will discuss and explore each resort, ride by ride, land by land, park by park, to determine which is better. I'm your host, Jimmy, and thank you for joining me on this quest to help the greater good of humanity answer this long, elusive question: which is better, Disneyland or Walt Disney World? Joining me, as always, to help find the answer is Dan. Hi, Dan.
Hey, I'm Dan. Hi. Doing better than ever and looking forward to a lot of things.
And he's prepared. And Eric.
Also prepared and here.
Great. Listener, we have two very special guests on the episode today. If you're a fan of the Hub Crawl, then you know them well from the last or one of the last episodes. If this is 5 years from now, look 5 years back sometime around June. We have my children and Disney Parks fans, Alex and Paxton. Hello, Alex.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for being here.
Alex. You're
Good
welcome.
job. Thanks. And then we also have Paxton. Hi, Paxton.
Hi. You guys remember me? I'm the funny one.
Oh, burn. Okay, so listener, again, if this is the first time you're hearing their voices,
stepped on there, Paxton. Just kidding.
If this is the first time you're hearing their voices, then go back and listen to the Hub Crawl, where we had what were the topics of the episode, Eric? It was ride you're afraid of. What were the questions?
Oh my goodness! Well, you could have prepared me for this.
Oh,
I can
sorry.
pull up the whole thing, but yes,
the Hub Crawl is a bi-weekly
Rides
podcast where people sit around and talk about all things Disney.
Yeah.
Anyway, so some of the questions were, what is your, we did the ideal eating around the world. We did rides you're afraid of, et cetera. And Alex and Paxton both shared some things that they were apprehensive about with respect to our recent trip to Disneyland. Now, for all intents and purposes, this was their first for realsies trip. They're both sort of beyond their fears of rides. And we went for 2 full days. We stayed at the Disneyland Hotel and the villas. It was wonderful. So as a follow-up from that episode, we had some listeners who requested a follow-up. So we're going to have it here. If you want to listen to the prequel, if you will, you can listen to the Hub Crawl. For now, Alex and Paxton. Alex, I wanted to start with you. I remember in that episode, you had mentioned that one of the rides you were most apprehensive about was the Matterhorn. Did you ride the Matterhorn at Disneyland?
Yes, I did ride the Matterhorn.
And what did you think? Are you still apprehensive about it?
It's too much work looking away from that Yeti 3 times. It's way too much work.
Too much work.
Wow.
Was it painful at all?
Yeah, does your back still hurt?
No, my back does not hurt. It's not as painful as Space Mountain at the Magic Kingdom.
True. Also, before we get to Paxton's answer, Alex did follow your advice, Dan, on the Incredicoaster. And Dan or Alex, what was the advice that Dan gave you, and what did you do?
He said on the loop on Incredicoaster, look up, and I did that, and it helped.
Okay,
Cool.
that's good. Help. Yeah. All right, Paxton.
I didn't.
You didn't look up, and what happened?
Defiant.
It was like the most fun part of the ride because I didn't really like it because I couldn't see anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was one of the things, listener. I don't know if you experienced this when you were young or you have young ones that experience it. Paxton did not really have trouble with any of the rides, and we'll get to his biggest fear in a minute. But the Incredicoaster he rode in the back row. Now, he's not short, but shortish for his age. So when you're in the back row of a roller coaster like that, where his head is sort of at the shoulder restraints, so he can't really see in front of him. all he can see is what's going on side to side. So you can imagine it being rather intense if you don't know what's happening next. And like your head's rattling around because you can't anticipate moves because you can't see what's going on, right?
Yeah.
So he did not love that ride. We tried to get on him a couple times, and that was just the one and only experience. But he did say that was the funnest. It was the most fun part, Paxton, was the loop.
Yeah, I wasn't really scared for that part because I've been on a loop before.
Oh, that's right. Dan has a question.
Yes, I have a question for the gentleman out on the stage. Did you enjoy the babies on spikes while riding the Incredicoaster?
Yes, I had a lot of fun looking at babies stabbed on spikes.
Indeed. What about
I didn't really see any because I couldn't see anything.
right,
All
yeah.
I saw was a green slimy baby that was getting stretched out.
Let me explain what you missed. There is a very, very realistic and convincing effect of Jack either teleporting or multiplying himself. Again, very convincing. And
especially in the daytime when you can see them all at the same time.
Especially in the daytime.
Right.
And there's no question about it. It does not just look like someone impaled a bunch of babies on spikes.
Yeah, when you mentioned that, I was like, well, don't forget about Jack when you mentioned the babies on spikes. I was like, yeah, we saw those, but don't forget about Jack. Anyway, all right, Paxton, his biggest concern was the Guardians of the Galaxy : Mission Breakout. Paxton, what's the verdict?
Well, it was a really fun ride. I've been on Tower of Terror at Walt Disney World, but that really got my heart going because I was only like 7, so I got really scared for that. So I thought I would be scared for Guardians, but it was actually a really exhilarating and fun ride, and I loved it a lot.
How many times did you go on it?
Twice, but if I had the chance to go on more times, I would go on it like 10 times probably.
Yeah, and what was Dan's advice for that ride for you, and what did you do?
He said listen to the music.
Mm-hmm. Did you?
The second time I did, but the first time I was just
anticipating.
Yeah, anticipating for the drops to happen.
I mean, yeah, if you're into it, you're into it. But if anyone has any apprehension, I'm going to use another difficult word that I almost didn't say, then just listen to the music is a good way to go. But I'm glad you liked it. That's awesome. Yeah.
So I think, and I'll get to their other verdicts, but the other question I had, so Eric and Dan both experienced Disneyland with my wife, Dina, former guest of the show. We had one day and by God, we're going to do everything we could possibly do in that day. It was still in the COVID era. And we sure did. Now, so we had 2 full days. So we had right. Pool breaks.
So how were you able to keep up that pace?
It happened, Dan.
Did
it? Yeah. So I'm the morning person in the relationship. Dina's the night owl. So I was getting everybody out of the room we got out by 7 the first day, and we were 5 minutes late to get into the pre-rope drop for resort guests.
Mm-hmm. How long did it take for them to forgive you?
We were walking past so for those of you who've been, the rope drop at Disneyland for where we were going is to the right-hand side past the corn dog cart right in front of the fried chicken place, right? We walked through that line at 7:34. So we were 4 minutes late as far as I could tell. We maximized, we did a lot of stuff. So I said, we need to leave no later than 6:50 to go to to DCA the next day. Now, I did not anticipate security, not only not being open until 7, but just the myriad people waiting. We had to wait in a long line to get in. We still made it in time. Oh, yeah. We had to wait a couple minutes in front of award wieners before getting into that park the second day. But Paxton and Dina stayed in the park until I want to say 11 the first day and 11:30 the second day.
Wow.
Oh, man.
At that point, so 7:30 to 11:30 with about an hour break in between. We did the French Market, Dan. That's something you introduced me to. Dina loved it. Boys, did you like the French Market dining?
Tiana's Culinary Adventure.
No. French. Oh, sorry. Cafe Orleans. My apologies.
Cafe Orleans.
Ah,
yes.
okay.
Cafe Orleans. We sat down, had a delightful meal. Guys, do you remember Cafe Orleans where we sat on the patio that first day?
Yes, I remembered it a
Do you remember
lot.
what you ate?
I ate a bowl of mac and cheese because I do not like Mexican food.
Okay, well,
You went
it's
to the
not
right
Mexican
place, then.
food, so that's a good place. And then this is I guess we did sit on the patio a lot. Alex, do you remember Cafe Orleans in New Orleans Square that first day?
Yes, I do, but I have no idea what I ate.
Okay. I ate chicken and it was wonderful. And I asked for that brown gravy they had in a dish that it was wonderful. Lots of dipping. Dan, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. Or let me rephrase this. How much, especially on your first day, did you both enjoy sitting there eating a meal while everyone else was going on rides?
Boys?
No, definitely not.
So
Oh, no.
Paxton, you didn't like sitting there while you could have been on rides.
Well, the first day, because it's the first day, I'm like, why do we have to sit here and eat while we could be in a wait, like a 10-minute wait for a roller coaster?
Right.
Yeah.
But it was also a
sit down-
10-minute wait for a good food.
That's
Right.
also true.
I enjoy
That's true.
sit down meals, but I remember what it's like to be that age. Alex, what ride can you think of that you could have been going on during this time if you were in Disney World that you have already been on and your father is not?
Disney World? Oh,
Tron.
That's
I
correct.
could have been going on that on the other side of the country while eating
And
food.
while you were at Disneyland, did your dad get to go on Tron?
No.
Oh, okay.
how many times did he point out the fact that he's been on Tron and I have not during our trip?
During the trip, only once.
Oh, just once? All right. Alex, did you like Cafe Orleans, the sit-down meal in New Orleans Square looking at the river?
I don't remember it at all.
Okay, great. Dina really liked it. We'd never done sit-down dining. We did Pim's that time, Eric and Dan, and we had that $100 sandwich. That's like the extent of her sit-down dining experience at Disneyland. So really, she loved it. The food quality was great. She had a glass of wine. We watched all of Frontierland, Kinetic Energy, New Orleans Square.
Nice.
It was wonderful. Another thing I learned is I could not find Phantasmic dining packages for, they did not have them for that day. I'd been looking for weeks.
Huh.
Finally, what popped up was River Terrace for the second showing. That's all that popped up in the app when I was searching for dining for 4. When I went to the Rancho del Zocalo at 10:59, like right when it opened, walked in and said, "Can we do Phantasmic dining?" They sure. Search for Phantasmic dining. Don't go to make reservations. Search for Phantasmic dining. It all popped up. Like all of it.
Oh.
That's a
Okay.
minor detail that I should have known to tell you, and I did
Yeah.
not. I'm sorry.
I didn't search for it. I just said, make a dining reservation. 4 people today, blah, blah, blah.
Jimmy, do
Anyway.
you think next time you would call one of your friendly concierges to
You would think so.
you out
would
with
think
that?
so. Who knew that you'd need to ask?
By the way, if you book a vacation with Jimmy, remind him that you look under the Phantasmic.
Search for Phantasmic dining packages in the app. Anyway, so we got it right there, right when it opened. It was the early dining, first showing for 1:20 p.m. It was it was 11 o'clock in the morning at this point. And I'm like, do we have to wait till 1:20? And they said, no, you don't. It takes about 30 minutes for the system to recognize you. So we had a lightning lane for Thunder Mountain and went on Thunder Mountain, came back, sat down and ate.
That's an interesting hack to know about.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, because it's counter service, it's like they're not having to, worry about accommodating for servers and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, it was great. That's where Paxton had the mac and cheese.
That's true. And I would imagine that in most cases, just like in most cases like this that we've talked about, always ask nicely and
That's right.
Be prepared for the answer to be no.
Amen. Alex or Paxton have a question.
I have a question. What? No. Sorry.
That's all right.
I have a Oh no, I have something to say.
Okay.
By the way,
Oh.
listener, if you're
There's no
confused,
statement button on our app
if you're
here.
confused, listener, you're using a feature on Zencastr that we don't always use.
We've never
But-
used.
Never
but
used
it's
it. But
delightful.
when somebody raises their hand, their little image, you've all seen it, listener. Like you're on Zoom or whatever, little image box goes up and down. So Pax,
There
there's
we
no
go.
statement button, but there's a question button. So
Okay.
either way, he's raising his hand. Go ahead, Paxton.
So at Cafe Orleans, there are these little cakes that everybody got on a meal.
Oh no, that was
Um,
Rancho del Socolo. Yeah, those
Oh, the
cardboard
cake everyone
cakes we
loves
all
so
had.
much.
Oh gosh.
And
Well, anyways, I thought I was the only one that thought they were good, so I basically
true.
had all of them.
I
That's
agree.
okay,
The raspberry jam in the middle was good.
it was fine.
It's not bad, but it's you
It's
know
not good.
it's like on this show so often where it comes down to like, well, they at least tried on this one versus they didn't try on this. This was they didn't really try.
Yeah. So, listener, if you do want to do a Phantasmic dining package, the Rancho option is a phenomenal option. If you get there early enough, you are so right next to the Blue Bayou group. We got there a little late, so we were a little far to the left. So we were kind of between the two screens, the center screen and the left screen, which I didn't love.
Okay.
But if you get there early enough, you're right next to Blue Bayou. So Rancho's, it's a cheaper option. It's really good carne asada is what we had. Anyway, so another thing I wanted to ask the boys. First of all, Paxton, being the younger of the two, Alex, forgive me if this is out of turn, but he tends to be a little bit more adventurous than you are. Is that fair? He's nodding. That's a yes.
That's a confirmation.
So his first single rider line ever was Space Mountain. So it was Paxton, Dina, and myself were in the single rider queue for Space Mountain. It was quoted as about 15 to 20 minutes. We probably waited 10. But we're standing out next to the Magic Eye Theater, and they just bring groups of 5 in through the building and walk them through to the end. So we're all out there, and so there are probably 2 or 3 people in front of us. It's Paxton, Dina, and myself. And the people in front of us wanted to stick together, even though they weren't going to be ride together. And so that the cast member's like, hey, is there one that wants to go? And Paxton's like, peace. So he just left. And so we're like, this is his first single rider. We have no way to reach him. He could just go on the ride and just walk. We have no idea. So he just went on, did his thing.
Mm-hmm.
He waited at the exit for us. It was very sweet. Anyway,
Well done.
Yeah. So Alex, what is your favorite ride at Disneyland now that you've been multiple times?
Either Incredicoaster or Space Mountain.
Now, Incredicoaster because your brother is still afraid of it, or because it's a better ride?
A mix of both.
A mix of both. Okay. And Paxton, what is your favorite ride at Disneyland Resort?
Space Mountain.
Okay, hands down. More than Guardians.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Alex,
Did you get to go on the queue for Space Mountain at all, or did you just do single rider line?
the first time we
only got to do Lightning Lane queue, but yeah.
Got it.
And no, we didn't do Lightning Lane queue the first time. The first time we did rope drop. It's the first thing we did when we walked in at 7:34. We were behind a couple who they were Mouseketeers for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And we were zigzagging through, like, nobody's there, right? And we were going through switchbacks in the old arcade. And at some point we're like, something is not right. We should not be over here. We already walked through the building. Now we're outside again. Somebody did not put a rope somewhere. So because we knew, we were like, we're turning around. We went back. People following those people. We're like, guys, you're going the wrong way. Something's wrong. We walked into the building. There was nobody there because there's no rope up that tells you which way to go.
They're taking you through the Starcade? Like, what?
Well, not on purpose, but nobody, no cast member, closed the line off so you wouldn't keep going through all the switchbacks. So we're just wandering around.
Alex, when your dad mentioned going through the arcade, you looked surprised. Were you aware that was formerly an arcade?
I was not aware that I was surprised.
Yeah.
That's what this episode is about.
Do you feel
right.
like they have made a better use of space by turning it into a series of switchbacks than having it be an arcade where people can play games and have lots of fun?
Sure.
Good
Now,
answer.
what they should have done, kept the arcade and switchback so you could play games whilst in line. That's interactive queue right there. Done. All right,
and
Alex,
if you win against the person in air hockey, you get to take their place.
oh, that's right.
in
That's
line.
good. That's good.
Disney, take notes.
Take notes. I know you're listening. Alex, which is better, Disneyland or Disney World?
You mean like parks or certain rides?
Yeah, like if you had a friend who never been to either, or maybe been to one or the other, and they said, which is better, Disneyland or Disney World, what would you say?
Well, I would say it depends on what you're looking for. Like if you want a more action-packed day, go to Disneyland. But if you want a more relaxing day with kind of more breaks, then go to Disney World.
Now, that's a great answer. You mentioned when we were there something like if you could take the rides at Disneyland and put them at Disney World, something like that?
Yeah, I said that because the versions of rides at each park, especially Space Mountain, are far better at Disneyland than they are at Disney World.
Interesting.
And there's like in Fantasyland, there's way more dark rides that you cannot find at Disney World and Disneyland.
That's true. All right, Paxton, you have a statement or a question? Or are you just pushing that button?
Yes, this is for you, Dan. The castle is tiny.
I know, it's shameful. They should just burn it down.
It's tiny.
So that's an ongoing joke in the show, listener. You probably know this. And I had the boys posing, vomiting on the street in front of the castle because they were so disgusted how small the castle is.
As the person who frequently argues for Disneyland on the show, I would like to personally apologize for the size of our castle. We are all ashamed of it.
Yeah. I think maybe that's the show image, is the boys vomiting in front of the castle.
Yes, please.
Good. Okay.
I'm
all right.
I'm curious about so Alex, you were talking about how the rides at Disneyland, if they were at Disney World, be better. Some people have a very controversial opinion. I'm not one of them. That a resort with so much more space perhaps should have more of those rides, possibly more. What do you think?
They should. A weird thing with the Tomorrowland Motor Speedway at Disney World and the Autopia at Disneyland. Autopia is like a lot bigger than Tomorrowland Motor Speedway is, and they have much less space at Disneyland, but somehow they're able to pack a lot of rides into there. Like with Alice in Wonderland, rest of the name I don't know, and then Toad's Wild Ride, one's on top of the other in certain parts, so they can really cram things into a small place.
That's my boy.
This guy knows his stuff. Yeah,
that's right. And Alex also knows that the Autopia and the monorail and the People Mover are all integral to the show building of the submarine voyage. Talk about maximizing space.
Yeah,
and also
some people have said, again, I don't necessarily share this opinion. Some people have said that it's very ironic that Disneyland has so much more when it has less space.
It's true. To that end, before I asked Paxton the final question,
so much space.
To that end, Daniel,
yes,
we kept track the first day. Now, granted, between Alex, Paxton, Dina, and myself, we were in the parks for 16 hours. Now, we did have a break. We had a pool break at the Disneyland Hotel.
You played billiards.
You were playing pool and hustling the rubes.
Yeah, that was mostly Paxton. He just walked in, looked all innocent.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy, of course, is known for being a pool shark, especially with children.
Serial gambler. That's true. Anyhow, so a swimming pool break with the monorail slides, which are wonderful, by the way. It looks like you're getting into the monorail. It's not just a facade. And so 16 hours in the parks, give or take. We did 30 rides.
Wow.
3-0 because of Lightning, because of Genie Plus.
How many of them were Goofy's Sky School?
That was not that day. We didn't do that till the next day. Nope. That was the second day. My point is, and we'll do the Lightning Lane episode later before they change it all, but worth the money. There's no way in God's green earth that you could do 30 rides at Disney World, even if you tried. I just couldn't see a world where you could
I
do
would
that.
say it's required at California Adventure, to be honest.
Yeah.
As much as I hate saying that, or
What,
rather,
the Lightning Lane?
Yeah.
Genie
Or
Plus.
rather, I hate that's true. I don't so much hate saying that. I hate that that's true. But a person could reasonably, if they really, 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 really knew what they were doing and didn't mind doing single rider lines, a person could conceivably do Disneyland without lightning lanes. But like, you would need to know all the tricks.
Yeah, no doubt. So anyhow, final question, Paxton, which is better, Disneyland or Disney World, and why?
I would definitely pick Disneyland.
Why?
Well, probably 50% of the reason is because the castle is way smaller. Wait,
It's less intimidating. I
wait.
get it.
Other way around, but
Okay.
Yeah.
well, it feels all of the rides are way closer together. And there's only 2 parks, but it would be way better in Disney World if you're just walking in downtown Disney, you find the entrances to the parks and you're like, go to Magic Kingdom. When you exit Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios is right next to you, not a mile away. It would be
Yeah.
way better if it was like that.
Closer proximity, yeah.
Yeah.
So before I answer your question, Dan's raising his hand. Because we conflate Disney World with Disneyland a lot because we've been recently more to Disney World than to Disneyland, and so I'm doing all the lightning lanes. I'm doing all the touring planning, right, as a concierge, and we were in Fantasyland, like let's say near Storybook Land, right? Listener, you can all picture this. And I was like, well, let's get a lightning lane for Thunder Mountain. And my wife is like, I don't want to go all the way over there. And I'm like, just
12 steps
trust
away.
me. It's going to be fine. Dan, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question for the boys. Boys, do you think it would be better at Disneyland if they were to have a castle as large as Disney World?
Yes, 100%. It would be a lot better. Probably the best Disney park besides Tokyo Disney Sea.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I agree.
shots
It was
fired.
actually a trick question. It wouldn't fit.
No, okay. It wouldn't fit. It would be way too big. And it would be bigger than that mountain.
It'd be bigger than the park.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, it would not fit. Anyway, all right, boys.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, gosh.
so that was our follow-up from the Hub Crawl. Thank you very much, children, for being a part of this episode. Before we move on, any last comments, questions, or concerns?
What do you
for the
think of
children?
Phantasmic?
Oh, that's right, Phantasmic, and the other thing, the
Magic
parade.
Happens.
Magic happens.
Yeah, Alex, what did you think of Phantasmic?
It's water, Disney characters, and sitting down.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mhm.
And you
I
could
agree.
probably say the opposite for World of Color: water, screens, and standing up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Paxton, what did you think of Phantasmic?
So Fantastic was amazing.
Yeah, I
agree.
But it would have been way better if I could actually see anything.
No, that was World of Color.
Oh.
You couldn't see.
Oh, that was World of Color.
Yeah, Phantasmic
Sorry.
you were sitting for.
Oh yeah, I was sitting for it. Right.
And
It was cool. It was cool.
Yeah.
I thought World of Color was better,
Yeah,
but I can't really
couldn't see
keep
it.
track of anything.
clearly.
I feel like you both listen to the show and you're trying to let me down easy. And that's
Were
fine. I appreciate
were
it.
either of you upset
doesn't.
by Maleficent standing on top of a large pole instead of there being a dragon?
Yes, very.
Yeah.
We
Would
have
the
not
show-
seen any version of the show beforehand.
Oh,
Would-
okay.
That was our
the-
first time.
Would the show have been better if there were a giant dragon that accidentally caught itself on fire during the show?
It would have been better. It would have been worth it, worth paying for that food package to see a giant dragon burn up in flames.
Nice.
That's right. Well, it got expensive, so they had to get rid of it.
True. And then final. What did you think of Magic Happens Parade, Paxton?
Magic Happens Parade. For any kids that are listening, the music was definitely fire. It was amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
It was really good. Yeah.
Alex, what did you think of the parade?
The best part of the parade was before the parade happened when the Disneyland band came down the street and played music. Other than that, that you can just take a nap. Doesn't really matter.
Right.
Okay.
Did you also, after the parade, see David from Fresh Baked and stare at him weirdly like we did?
Okay.
No.
It's my favorite part of the parade.
Yeah, he looks a little bit like Eric with the hat.
It's just the hat.
Okay, everybody, thank you very much. Thank you, boys. Thanks for coming. I'm Eric. I'm going to go upstairs and shut him down, or do you want to just mute?
Shut him down.
Shut him down. All right. Well, thank you, boys, for coming. See you next time.
Thank you.
See you in the parks.
Before we go,
Okay.
before we go, I have one last note from Hub Crawl. The last thing before we went from Dan and Eric. They said Skibbity Toilet. So please do not say that again.
I will never say Skibbity Toilet again. I will put it in my notes to not say Skibbity Toilet.
Okay,
Noted.
thank you.
In fact, I will even say I'll make a note to myself, do not say Skibbity Toilet.
No more Skibbity Toilet.
No more Skibbity Toilet.
We got some good feedback about Skibbity Toilet.
Like about
but we're not
Skibbity
going to say
Toilet?
that anymore.
Okay.
Not on this show.
All right,
And
I'm
when
muting.
you got that
All right.
feedback, they said they didn't say to not say Skibbity Toilet anymore, or did they say to say Skibbity Toilet more?
They enjoyed Skibbity Toilet.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry,
Many-
we're not
many
supposed to
do.
say that.
We should stop saying
Yeah.
Skibbity Toilet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's gone. And now a word from our sponsors.
Your attention, please.
The holidays are back at Starbucks, and there's so much to share. With classics like Caramel Brulee Latte, Peppermint Mocha, and Chestnut Praline Latte, we're celebrating everyone's flavor of festivity. Order yours in the app.
Hi, I'm the sponsor today. My name's Dan. You know me from the show that I'm currently sponsoring. The product that I am advertising as the sponsor is the Skibbity Toilet.
Please do not say that again.
The Skibbity Toilet.
Please do not say that again.
The Skibbity Toilet.
Please do not say that again.
The Skibbity
Crinkle some more stuff in the mic
That's
there,
right.
just as a
That's
mic
a little
check.
mic check. Good job.
I'm an
Thank
old
you,
lady
Dan.
at the opera getting my hard candy ready, which is a joke that you would be familiar with if you were listening to what
Bowie
podcast?
Splaining.
That's right, Bowie Splaining. Anyway,
I listen to Bowie splaining sometimes.
You listen to it while you're saying it.
Ooh,
That's
so meta.
two birds, one stone.
All right.
Yes. Time to get serious.
Okay. Well, thank you for the boys for joining us as a follow up. Again, listener, if you wanted to hear the you already have the answers, but if you're curious about what it was like before we went to Disneyland, listen to the Hub Crawl. All right. So just a couple of final thoughts. We had a wonderful time at Disneyland. I spent a fair amount of time there. Spent some time with both Dan and Eric at the beginning of June, and then with my children and wife at the beginning of July. Had a wonderful cross-country trip. So one of the things that I learned after I left, now we were staying at the Disneyland Hotel, as I mentioned, and in order to get to Disneyland, we had to walk through downtown Disney. There's that new entrance, really nice, lovely, sort of, 1960s, looks like the same kind of signage as Tomorrowland does now at Disney World.
I believe the term is mid-century modern.
There you go.
Mid-mod.
So we walked by there and I pointed out to the family, hey, look, there's a restaurant called Din Tai Fung that is going to open soon. I don't know when, but it's going to open. We should try it sometime. Every time that we walked by it, it was already open. And I had no idea. And we walked by for 3 consecutive days, multiple times a day. I did not realize it was open. Didn't even think to look. So I did not go there.
Because 2 days before you were there, I did try it.
Yes. And so I'm curious because the official opening date was July 1st. That's when we first got there. We left on July 4th. Dan went on June 30th, I believe. So Dan, tell us about Din Tai Fung and your experience.
More like Didn't I Yum? I'm dead inside. Yeah, we do. We have a fun podcast. It's good. I don't know what to say. I'm in a similar place with it. I mean, okay, this is not to imply that these two places are of a similar value, but this is like a similar phenomenon. I think that
I'm glad you did it.
It'll ruin the song for you. So you remember what I was saying about like how Tiana's Culinary Adventure is, it's good, but there was so much hype around it that it's like, it's just good. And it almost like you almost are disappointed if you approach it from that point of view of like, it's Tiana's gonna baby bird me the food because it's magical. Like that kind of thing. It's kind of like a heightened scenario, but it's the same thing here. It's good. It's very good.
What are they known for?
Soup dumplings.
And
it was my first time having soup dumplings, and they didn't
in general
explode. Yeah, in general, they didn't explode like I was worried that they would. I mean, it's good. I don't have anything to compare it to. I've never had soup dumplings, but in terms of like, did I put it in my mouth and did I think it was good? Yeah. But I think what I'm trying to get at is if you've never been to a Din Tai Fung and you have heard, people talk about Din Tai Fung's coming, it's my favorite restaurant at South Coast Plaza. Like, okay, sure, I can get why it might be someone's favorite restaurant. But if you're looking at it from that point of view of like, I'm going to bite into the soup dumpling and like all of the mysteries of the universe will come out of it, and it will be, it will change my life in terms of what, glorious flavors I've experienced. It's just good, and that's fine. I don't expect it to be anything more than that. But I guess what I'm trying to say is neither should anybody else,
Yeah.
Good is
my
good.
understanding, it's the first standalone Din Tai Fung. Like it's
from what I understand. Yeah.
Eric?
No, I was just going along with Dan saying, hey, good food is good.
Yeah.
Right.
Does anyone know?
Does Downtown Disney?
So speaking of Downtown Disney, just across the way from Din Tai Fung, on the same side of the street, if you will, on the south side of anyway, there's a marketplace going in.
Mm-hmm. Ralph's.
What is that?
Sorry, I don't know why that's so funny to me.
No, they took Ralph Brennan's out of it. It's just Jazz Kitchen and Coastal Grill.
So on this side of the monorail,
Right.
on the Disneyland Hotel side of the monorail, before you get to Lego store on that side, what is that?
That is going to indeed be a marketplace. Eric, feel free to jump in. I know a thing or two about this.
It's just food hall. Go for it.
Yeah, it's kind of food hall. I'm thinking of it as, and I don't mean this in a negative way, kind of like glorified food court, where
that is what a food hall is. Yeah,
right. Bottom level is supposed to be restaurants, grab and go restaurants where it's made fresh there, locally owned. I think that's the main thing. It's locally owned, and yeah, they're kind of pushing the diversity thing, which I mean, not that I'm anti that. I feel like they can push it.
Disney doing its thing. They
can push it a little bit hard and unnecessarily, is all I'm saying. Like, sure, hire the people, get the people in that you're going to get in. It's great that you're going to do diversity, but I don't think they realize that there is a certain contingency. I'm not part of this, but there is a certain contingency that immediately sees that and like, no, I'm going to eat more. It's like whatever. But that has nothing to do with it.
It'll be fine.
It's locally owned businesses, and then I think the level above that is going to be like an open air lounge bar area. Well, the thing that I think makes that whole thing come together, though, is the stage that they built and the little fake grassy area, which I don't care for live music, but I really like that they have that there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's when we walked by, there were interactive stuff and trying to get people engaged and dancing and that kind of thing. When I think marketplace like that, I kind of picture at the boardwalk at Disney World, the marketplace at the boardwalk villas. So it feels like a shop. So if you're staying there, you can go and get your sundries and your microwave meals and that sort of thing. That's what it felt like to me from the signage.
I don't know that that's a part of it because the hotels kind of already have that to an extent.
Right.
People might not know that they do, but they do. I think honestly, it's like if I'm putting my cynical hat on, I think at some point someone had a meeting where they said like, hey, Anaheim Packing House is getting kind of popular. Let's do something that's kind of Anaheim Packing House-ish.
Okay.
I think that's fair. Yeah, it really is. I mean, a food court isn't a derogatory term here. Like it's just a bunch of places where you can get different food quickly. I think this is kind of the resurgence of this thing that's happening around the country. I mean, I've got a market like that near my house down the hill where, yeah, it's a few different places. It's a taco place. It's a pizza place. It's a bunch of quick stuff that you can just pop in. You can get whatever you want. You can hang out for a little while if you really want to, or you could just pop in, grab some food and go. I think that's what we're going for here.
In Atlanta, we have Ponce City Market. I think name your city, you probably have something like that.
Yeah.
A chef who has a menu. It's like a food truck, like a permanent food truck almost.
Yeah. And they did the food truck thing for a little while in the same spot. So,
yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. So today's episode is about the shooting galleries. So specifically Frontierland Shootin Arcade at Disneyland and the same at Disney World, also in Frontierland, if I'm not mistaken. Now, we learned recently that the Frontierland Shooting Gallery, and Eric, am I pronouncing that correct?
No, you pronounce the G.
It's Shootin. Shootin. And is it an arcade or a gallery?
Gallery. It has had multiple names, but yeah, right now it's gallery.
And that is going away, and it is going to become a DVC lounge. So in the interest of time, while we have a chance, we're going to discuss which is better between the two, perhaps. I'm not going to do any points. We're just going to talk about shooting galleries and their origins and that sort of thing. The one at Disneyland, of course, came first. So Dan is going to regale us with the Frontierland Shootin Gallery at Disneyland. Dan?
Oh, there's so much more.
Tell me.
So Disneyland has had several shooting galleries.
Yeah.
Contrary to popular belief, Fantasyland never had a shooting gallery, but it could have. And we have a shirt.
Shirts for sale.
Yep. So yes, Disneyland started out with the Safari Shooting Gallery. The reason why there's the G that you pronounce is because it was on Main Street and people were proper. And that was inside the Penny Arcade. So just for reference, we're now talking about, this is where the Gibson Girl ice cream parlor was. And guests would aim at both stationary and moving targets. And they had bullets. They had little pellets, little actual pellets, in which with you could shoot things. And they decided that was potentially dangerous eventually. So then it became the Main Street Shooting Gallery. And it's popular, just like, kids like to shoot things, so do adults. And then we also added a little something called the Big Game Safari. And that was and there's no problem with the NG because that isn't in the word. Also, it was in Adventureland, so it's a real toss-up whether it would be a shoot-in gallery or a shooting gallery. So, yes, that was also actual things that you could shoot with actual bullets.
Now, they were lead, if I'm not mistaken.
I will take your word for it.
Lead
Eric,
pellets.
Eric, do you have any thoughts while I remind myself how prepared I am?
Sure, I can have more thoughts.
Thank you. Do you enjoy shooting, or do you prefer shooting or shooting, as in the action, not the word?
I think I prefer shooting.
I agree.
I mean, and the current name at Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom is actually the Frontierland Shootin' Exposition, which I think is pretty fabulous.
Now, do either of you have examples of some of the targets?
Oh, plenty of target examples, but we'll get there eventually.
Okay. For now, they were lead pellets, and I believe that on a nightly basis they had to go and repaint the targets on account of the lead pellets hitting the painted targets.
Yeah, that was part of the expense. Is that all of these attractions had to be repainted every night so that they didn't look shabby the next day after people were firing junk at little tin targets. Now it's all infrared.
Now,
and
at what point did it change?
Some time.
I was going to ask, do you have an idea when that changed?
It was in the 80s, the early 80s for Walt Disney World. I don't know the exact year. From what I'm getting from Birnbaum guides, is in 1983 it was still pellets.
Wow.
A few years later, 1987, they're making a big deal about it being infrared at that
now,
point.
I also want to add, I'm looking at a picture of the big game shoot targets that you could shoot at. That was in the Adventureland Bazaar, or where it is now. I just want to assure everybody that, and I know how this sounds, but think it through. While it is very tropical and jungly, all of the targets are animals, or you're
not shooting at folks.
Yeah. You see where I'm going at with there. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm happy to report all of the. Okay, I don't know how I want to say this. The targets are not, in terms of just shooting at rare game. Ethically that is inappropriate. However, we know the time period, we know the mindset. There is another layer of inappropriateness that they could have added to it, which they did not.
So Teddy Roosevelt wasn't there going, bully on you.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Teddy Roosevelt was not there, and I believe that Mark Davis famously wanted to add
So I'm looking at the Disney World app. It says Frontierland Shootin' Arcade closed.
Yeah.
I didn't actually know where it was.
It's in Frontierland.
All of my hundreds of times going there, I had to look it up.
Oh, wait. I'm looking at Disneyland as the Frontierland Shootin' Exposition.
I don't think I know where it was either. I mean, not that I've been to Disney World a ton, but I've been there enough. Yeah, but I've been there enough that I should probably have known.
Well,
it's past the Diamond Horseshoe.
Yeah, it's past the Diamond Horseshoe, and that's part of it. So if you remember from our Frontierland episode, which I tragically lost after 3 hours of me trying to justify it. It was.
That was your first episode with May and
no,
Natalie and May.
First.
That was not our first. First was
Main Streets.
Main Streets was that our second with them?
We missed those
Main Streets.
We got to get them back. We got to get back to Hollywood Lands.
Yeah,
anyway, continue.
It's been too long.
We promise we
but
won't
anyway,
have COVID this time.
There we
Can't
go.
make that promise.
He'll try. But yeah, the at Walt Disney World, the shooting gallery is between Diamond Horseshoe and Country Bear Jamboree.
Right.
So it's, if you remember, the way the Magic Kingdom is set up with Frontierland, as you enter from Liberty Square, the timeline goes further back in time. So you start out with the Diamond Horseshoe, which is in the late 1800s, and then you proceed backward as you go through the area. So, yeah, and the buildings are more rustic the further you go. So when you get to the Frontierland Shootin gallery, it's logs, it's planks, and that continues through the rest of the area. It's not as fancy as that Diamond Horseshoe
until you get all the way back in the frontier to the bayou.
Right.
Because
that's how history and geography.
Yes, that's how it goes.
Right.
I don't know.
Anyway,
let's justify that one later.
All right, so back to Dan.
3.
Well,
so we have
So basically what it comes down to in terms of history is you had a shooting gallery on Main Street. You had another shooting gallery or shooting, and we're not sure, in Adventureland, and another one in Frontierland. Eventually,
were all three of them open at the same time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so much shooting. You could spend your whole day shooting if you wanted to.
Or shooting.
Depending on where you were. And just so we're clear,
you're on Main Street, you're shooting.
Yes, it's just so we're clear. In Frontierland, you were shooting. So, what I'm finding most interesting here, as I review the research that I have done way in advance, is there is merchandise. There's the Disneyland Big Game Safari True View picture gun.
Wow!
So you could
buy it.
You could buy it, and you could go and you could look through the little viewfinder, and you would see pictures of animals that you could shoot, and you would shoot at them.
Fun.
Like you were trying to relive your trauma in some kind of war against animals or something.
Describe this for me. So it's a little fake gun you could buy.
Right. So a gun has, first of all, you hold it, and there's a
viewfinder in it,
and there's a trigger, and the trigger will make the gun fire.
But the viewfinder
so it's like a real gun. Okay.
Yeah.
The viewfinder's like on the holster, or is it at the end of the barrel?
No, it's on the holster. So it's kind of like you're looking into like a Viewmaster, but
down the barrel, which is the Viewmaster.
Right. It's not Viewmaster. It's True View. Surely there's no edging around copyright with those words.
So just real quick, just for tangentially,
yes.
Frontierland, we'll talk about the targets. Adventureland, you're shooting at animals. Main Street, you're shooting at homeless people.
It could be. I don't know about that for sure, but
we don't know. We weren't there.
You're shooting at the town drunks and the people who just moved in.
Go back to Kansas City.
The question is that homeless man from Fort Collins or from Marceline, Missouri? Still up for debate.
Yep. You're shooting at those surly suffragettes. Just to scare them, not to actually shoot them. Okay. Anyway, right. You could also purchase a coloring book.
A coloring book?
Yeah. Because if you really enjoy shooting things, and you enjoyed it so much that you spent your entire day shooting things during your trip to Disneyland, you can then buy a coloring book. And I'm going to just describe what I see on these pages of the coloring book. One page has a jungle scene with a very large like tiki totem and some trees, jungle stuff. A tiki hut, some flowers, more trees, a little pond with lily pods, a friendly little lion. And he does look very friendly. A very happy.
How little
smiling.
Is he though?
He's at least lion size.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
In a book, so it's not like full lion. Everything.
Did they do some crossover and do Lambert the sheepish lion?
They should have shoot that guy down for being so sheepish. And then there's a happy little crocodile. All these are to scale. There's an elephant shoving his or her head out from the bushes to say hello. So you could color that, and then on the other page opposite. What would you imagine you color? Eric, you go first.
A tornado.
The gun.
Okay. A gun is a good guess. What about what's happening
bullets?
To the gun? What you can color on the opposite facing page is a child with a very stern look on his face, holding up a shotgun, ready to shoot all them animals.
Oh,
Now, can you paint the blood coming out of the animals?
You sure can. Blood optional. The kid, you can barely see his face. It's like, and of course his, and of course his shirt is tucked in, and he has very 1950s hair. He is angry. You can only see a few of his features, but what few you can see, he is angry and determined to shoot them animals, or possibly whoever comes out of the hut.
All right. So just the three then, the Main Street, the Adventureland, and the Frontierland. So talk to us about the Frontierland Shootin' Gallery. Is this an opening day attraction?
The one that remains.
Yes, question mark, Eric?
What? I'm talking about a different Frontierland, okay? Sorry, I can't bail you out on this one.
No, that's fine. No one can bail me out.
I don't think it was opening day.
I don't think it was either. As I'm frantically
because Main Street was opening day.
Main Street was opening day. Adventureland, I believe, opened in response to the popularity of it, and then I feel like. I haven't shared this philosophy, but I feel like if there is any ruling force in the universe, it is irony. I actually kind of believe that. Look, dates. July 1955. Anyway, what I was getting to is, if irony does indeed rule the universe, then that would mean that Frontierland was the last to open when they were like, you know where we should put one?
The place with guns.
Right. You know what the frontier is known for?
Yeah, well, famously, that's where all the guns died.
Right. 1955 to 1962, Main Street. 1962 and 1982, Adventureland. I think I vaguely remember Adventureland.
82 Adventureland?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's weird. And then the Frontierland.
Was that in the... Sorry, was that in the area where the Indiana Jones faulty pinball machine is now?
Loosely,
area?
Yes. You're in the right place there.
Okay.
And that restaurant was just kind of like slinging hot dogs, so they didn't really need a whole lot of seating area there. Let's see.
Frontierland Shootin' Gallery at Disneyland, opening day July 17th, 1955.
I see you see you have opened my notes. Thank you.
That's right. The Magic Kingdom opening day October 1, 1971.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tokyo Disney opening 1983. Disneyland Paris still has one?
1957 to present is what I have here.
Frontierland?
Doesn't matter.
Frontierland.
Shootin'?
Yeah.
Jimmy, you're the French. You're the Frenchman. How do you say shootin' arcade in French?
Le Shooting.
So it's an NG, which is what
they have shampooing is French for shampoo is shampooing. Shopping in French, le shopping.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
So America invented shopping.
Sounds like the entire country watched Pulp Fiction. The Frontierland Shootin' Gallery was actually the Shootin' Exposition, which is what it is currently called. It opened in 57. Eventually, they traded the pellets out for infrared, and that was partially because it was damaging the scenery, also because probably dangerous. And at that point, they made it so that when you shoot the thing, instead of it just going like, hey, you shot me, it would like make things happen, which it still does to this day. There's a little thing where, in this one, I'm just going out the dome.
So you're saying in the 50s, like a guy would just go, you shit me.
Well, you could hear it go, ping.
Sorry. Mispronunciation.
So it was rewarding in that sense, where it's just like you go ping, and then hopefully it didn't, hit your eye. And in this case, with the infrared, you don't get that ping sound. You get something happened, and this is this is sort of the case with a lot of modern shooting galleries, where, you know, let's say it's in like a bar scene and the bartender weirdly has a target on him, and you're like, sure, and then you shoot the bartender and he goes, wee, and he spins around, or like the drink in his hand spins around, and no one really takes into consideration that you just shot the bartender. But hey, you know,
that's what he's there for.
He knows what he got into.
Disneyland Paris Rustler Roundup Shootin' Gallery still open. Think you've got the quickest draw in town?
Mm-hmm.
From prickly cacti to peg leg Pete, there are plenty of targets to test your eye.
Yeah.
Any height.
Descriptive.
Speaking of testing your eye, I have a post from a person on Mice Chat. Here's what they have to say. It would be nice if there was. I was thinking about doing a certain voice or accent here, but I figure I'll just make them sound, you know, reasonable. It would be nice if there was still a shooting gallery that used BBs. This was in 2006, especially since now there are lead-free solid copper BBs. So it was the lead. That's the problem. Of course, the legal types would never allow such a thing. Actually, I'm amazed the Frontierland Shootin Exposition has survived the PCing of Disneyland. I don't think they're referring to a computer. I mean, seriously, what harm was it to
personal
sell
computers of Disneyland?
Well, I mean, HP did sponsor a lot of things there for some time. I mean, seriously, what harm was it to sell replica wooden flintlock pistols and rifles at Pioneer Mercantile? Now they are once again selling a flintlock replica tied in with Pirates of the Caribbean, but it's completely fluorescent green and orange. I can't hold up a store with that.
I hate these unrealistic looking fake pistols.
That's
Just
right.
so we're on the same page, this was written before the word woke was a thing. Is anyone here old enough to remember the traveling grocery store carnivals? What is this? Did this person write this from like 1846? The ones that could have come into town on Thursday and opened for the weekend? They would have a couple cheesy rides on the Midway. The Midway would always have the game where you had a pneumatic, fully automatic submachine gun and you had to shoot out the red star to win a prize. That this person, their general feedback is more danger, is what they're.
They
wanting.
also had public hangings. Bring those back.
I mean, hey, no comment about the future of our country.
Hey, Dan.
Yes.
What? So the current exposition. What type of rifles do you have there? Have you found like what they're patterned after?
Eric, of course I have.
Do you need some time to look that up? Because I could talk too.
Yes, please.
While Dan is remembering things, at Walt Disney World, as Jimmy mentioned, the shooting gallery was open from day one. For the name changed multiple times throughout the years. It was at different points called the Big Thunder Shooting Gallery. It was in 1990, it changed to the Frontierland Shootin Arcade, which, I'm sorry, Jimmy, you're correct. It remains the Shootin Arcade in Walt Disney World to this day. And hopefully when it becomes a DVC lounge, it will be the Frontierland Shootin DVC lounge. Yeah.
Ooh, guns in the lounge. That'd be fun.
They will inevitably have some kind of homage to it, no doubt.
Right. It's weird to think of a DVC lounge right there because there's a I guess there's a DVC selling spot right next to it at the present moment. But yeah,
it's the first time I'm thinking of this, Eric. Like having a DVC lounge in Frontierland. Like, is there going to be a sign? Like, because I really like. I really like
They don't have a
the one in
sign for land.
Tomorrowland in Disneyland. It's called what is it? The something Starlight Lounge or something like that.
Right.
And it's a place you have to, if you don't know where it is, it's not like you just stumble on it,
Yeah, and the same with the one at Imagination.
You kind of have to know where you're going. Whereas this, you're just going to walk right by it. Like, is there going to be a sign maybe it's going to be called something Saloon or whatever, just to theme it up? I hope.
Yeah, I would hope so. But yeah, I really don't know what the concept is here. Yeah, it's kind of an odd thing to think about. Just another lounge. I guess there are plenty of us DVCers, I suppose. I can't complain too much because Jimmy and I both have DVC.
I'm a member of Ralph's Club,
things.
so I still have something.
There you go.
Are you talking about the McClashin Enterprises guns?
Well, I was going to talk about McGlashan, which was the company that made all of the shooting galleries at Disneyland, Walt Disney World, and Tokyo. Basically, Disney took this stock shooting gallery and modified it to make it a little more Disney, but not too much more from what it seems like. But yeah, McGlashan has made quite a few different shooting galleries at different theme parks around the world. They're kind of the name, or at least they were the name. I don't know if they're still doing stuff now. But yes, when it comes to the weaponry that they made at Walt Disney World, the rifles are patterned after a Hawkins 54 caliber Buffalo gun. The Hawkins rifle was a staple in the mid 1800s. It was eventually replaced by more efficient guns in the Civil War, where they were easier to load because these were muzzle loaded rifles. Let's see. It was known as I'm just going to talk about guns.
Yeah, go for it.
This was known as the Rocky Mountain rifle. It was light in weight for travel, but it was also powerful enough to take out large animals like buffalo at a distance. These were handmade one at a time, and thus they were not really. They weren't completely standard, so you could get a larger caliber if you wanted. So Western heroes like Kit Carson and Teddy Roosevelt could have different guns made for their purposes. Teddy Roosevelt apparently had the largest one ever made, which was a 70 caliber, and they sold for about $25 a piece.
That's a large bullet.
That is a large bullet, yes. The last Hawken rifle was made in 1884.
Keep going. Keep talking about guns.
Just America, all right. But yes, like I mentioned earlier, we're kind of in the middle of the time travel portion of Frontierland. So this shooting gallery could be, is generally going to be in the mid 1800s. The Country Bear Jamboree is dated as 1898.
Keep going.
Yeah. And this is next door, so it's a little older.
Keep talking about guns. Tell us more about guns.
I don't have a lot more to talk about with guns.
All right.
The original iteration with its lead pellets was 25 cents for 12 shots. That lasted until, like I said, the mid 1980s, where it was replaced by the infrared guns, where it was 25 cents for 15 shots.
Ooh.
And you were shooting at 97 targets, so they like to say almost 100 targets. I don't know why they didn't
nearly
make
100.
3 more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and now currently it's free.
Just like our country.
Eric, is that right? My understanding is currently the Disney World version is free.
Well, in the sense that it's no longer
an
there.
Additional fee. It's $1.
It's $1?
Yeah, it's $1.
Yeah, at Disneyland, I can speak to this from recent experiences, 50 cents.
Ooh, 50 cents.
Yeah, I don't know how many rounds you get for 50 cents, but
10 or 12, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. 10 or 12. What a ripoff.
I didn't count. I mean, it just feels like that. I've done it enough because I like shooting. If there's anything people know about me, it's how much I love shooting.
And America.
Indeed. No, I actually do enjoy. I do enjoy shooting in real and fake guns in a proper way and not at people. Right. But I think that it does feel like around 10 or 12. That's just, if I were to make a guess, I would feel pretty good about saying less than 15, but more than 8.
Well, let me end the Wayback Machine here by saying that there was also a shooting gallery at the Contemporary Resort in the Fiesta Fun Center, which was the arcade that they had for very many years.
Where was that?
It is on the ground level. It's where the restaurant Steakhouse 71 is right now.
Oh, really? That was an arcade?
Yeah, that was an arcade. It was replaced by the Wave in the 90s.
Yeah, I remember that.
But yeah, it was a huge. Well, when the Contemporary first opened, it was one of their conference centers, and then they put in this very large arcade that was just fantastic. Lots of fun games, foosball, air hockey, pinball, arcade games, and then this big shooting gallery that they had purchased from McGlashan Enterprises. It was barely they didn't do anything to it. The one in the Contemporary was just purchased. So there was an Old West section. Oh, okay. There was a medieval section. There were pirates mixed throughout.
Medieval section.
Currently the Disneyland is 50 cents for 3 minutes. So you're right.
It's unlimited.
It takes you 3 minutes to do 12. Could be.
Oh, well, neat. I am very careful with my marksman skills, so that makes sense.
And there's a change machine right next to the game that takes 1s and 5s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like in terms of like the history of the galleries at Disneyland, it seems like it started out as a cheap and easy way to have an attraction, like, I don't know, shooting gallery, and then they ended up
very
with
little space.
Yeah, and then it ended up with like, well, yeah, of course, Frontierland should have a shooting gallery.
It does make sense.
Yeah, and it also makes sense to have a DVC lounge, I suppose.
It does,
of course, a place to get free pop.
So, if just for the listener, so I'm just thinking like Disneyland shooting gallery, shooting exposition. There's no room for anything else. Like you could make a shop there. It's about as deep as the shop next to it. The pin trader that's there now.
Yeah.
But you really couldn't do much with it. It fits with the theme. There's no reason to get rid of it. At Disney World, it's the backside of the building there's really nothing going on in it. The backside of the building's in Adventureland.
Yeah.
Kind of adjacent to the Aladdin magic carpets. So there's really nothing going on in there. Dan, if you remember playing the pirate adventure game.
I do.
Where you go around, it's kind of in Frontier or Adventureland's version of the bazaar. There's really nothing going on in there. It's kind of a shop.
Right. Okay.
So
selling sunglasses and hats.
And there's a couple like urns and different artifacts and that kind of thing, but there's really nothing going on. So I suppose you have room for a DVC lounge, but it just doesn't make sense.
Also, going back to what we were talking about with the boys, don't they also have room to just build a DVC lounge? Like, like,
make it upstairs.
Yeah, really
why does it have to be
structure?
Right. Why does it have to be like a zero-sum game? It could just be like, and this too,
Yeah. Yeah, because again, really you're not saving anything except for a building frame.
Right.
Because they're going to gut it and do something. Anyway, it's an interesting choice, but because we won't have the two to compare, I don't know. So anyway,
let's talk about targets.
Please.
My favorite one is there's a couple around here. There's one in Mission Valley. And I tried to get a prescription filled there because I thought, thank God, they actually have what I'm looking for.
At the shooting gallery?
Oh, at Target. Sorry. You said let's talk about Targets.
Oh, okay. I got nothing.
Anyway, the pharmacy closed. And when I thought that I was able to get my medication that day, it turns out I had to wait for the next day.
Was it eye drops?
No, it was the medication that I have difficulty finding from time to time.
Oh, that one. Yes.
That one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's still on back order across the nation.
It's fine.
I'm trying.
It was
I'm trying.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm now svelte.
So
yes,
I just searched for it, and this is what I don't love about the Disney moms and all that kind of stuff. This planned Disney site. I just Googled how much it would cost at Disney World. Disneyland is 3 minutes for 50 cents.
Uh-huh.
The question was, how much does it cost to play Frontierland Arcade? Welcome back to the Disney Parks Moms panel, Gloria. I'm happy to see that you've been busy planning your next visit to the Walt Disney World Resort. You're in for a
Gloria?
Yeah. You're in for a rootin' tootin' good time when you're in Frontierland area at the Magic Kingdom Park. The Frontierland Shooting Arcade is a great place to pass the time with family and friends. It looks like one round, about 35 shots, will cost you $1. Remember that these prices are subject to change without notice. It's pretty good value when you have at least 100 different animated targets. After you're done in the arcade, you can take a short walk to Aloha Isle in Adventureland and treat yourself to a Dole Whip. It's the yummiest kind of reward.
Just answer the question.
I know. And then they go on to say, Gloria, did you know that you can use your mobile order option to My Disney Experience app to place your order?
I thought I was going to say, Gloria, do you know you can use your 1,275 points to use?
Anyway,
oh my goodness.
So nearly 100 animated targets. So Eric, go ahead and talk about those targets.
A skeleton jumps out of its grave. An ore cart rolls out of a mine. Hotel lights turn on. Showgirls dance within the hotel.
Yep.
Birds pop out of nests. Prairie dogs pop out of holes.
Yep.
Tombstones shake around.
Mm-hmm.
Vultures flap their wings.
They sure do. Got that one. Do you have an owl that goes hoo hoo?
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty sure we do.
Do you have a bridge that steps on itself for you when you shoot the target?
I don't recall a bridge, but probably.
Okay. Do you have a target in the sky that will summon a ghostly presence?
Oh, you bet we do. Ghost Riders in the Sky.
That's right. That's the reference. Do you have a train that you can shoot at?
Uh-huh.
Okay. What else?
You want to read some tombstones?
Always. Do you have tombstones for me to read?
I do. Rest in peace, Henry Baker. He has gone to meet his maker.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Did they
he
move
loved
that
to dance. He drank his fill. He lives no more. He dances still.
That's fun.
Yeah.
It's like a rest in peace kind of thing. By the way, any kids listening to this, if you are ever assigned group work and you think to yourself, I can just show up and kind of like, I can wing it and nobody in the class will figure it out and the teacher certainly won't. I want you to remember this episode. Okay. That's just remember this moment.
We've been talking about this for 3 weeks.
It's true. It's okay. So, and I went there, Dan, and I went up to the shooting gallery knowing we were going to talk about it. Did I break my dollar bill to get 50 cents? Nope, sure didn't.
Yeah.
But anyway, it seems like so far before we can continue, but it seems like the Disney World one is $1. You get around 35 shots. Disneyland is 50 cents. And if you got 3 minutes, let's say it's about 35 shots. It's
if you're
shot every few seconds,
real fast with it. Sure. I'm not going to lie. 30 so shots for $1 isn't bad, especially if
it's not bad.
Or if you take pride in your marksman skills like I do, you can really take your time with it.
And the Disney mom said about 35. So it's possible it's also 3 minutes. I don't know. But it's weird that it would be $1 at Disney World and 50 cents at Disneyland. Why do you think that is?
Convenience?
Probably.
I don't know.
You know what I mean, though? Like, why?
I was going to say, I think it's because Disney World can get $1 for it, but then they're closing it. So clearly not.
Yeah, right.
You know?
I mean, the last time I was in the parks, I tried to do the Shootin' arcade, and it was full for it was full. I went and I got some ice cream. I went back. It was still
Did you
full.
use your mobile ordering device on My Disney Experience to mobile
No,
order
I went
your
to
treat?
a person and I handed them
Gloria?
$3.
Speaking of bargains, which I think, maybe it's a bargain
I
for
really thought you were
$1.
going to say, speaking of Gloria.
Speaking of Gloria, so just at the Chicken Palace or the Poultry Palace in Pixar Pier. I don't know why it's Poultry Palace. I don't know what that's from. Probably Toy Story or something.
I would imagine.
They had a chimichanga.
Did you try the chimichanga?
I did, and it was $7.
Okay,
I have to tell you,
we're doing a version of our own show, except it's across the Esplanade. Chimichanga versus chimichanga. Go.
Yeah. It tasted like Tommy's chili. It was $7 and it was a beast. Like, we're talking foot-long chimichanga. It was so good. And it came with salsa and $7. Like, I was surprised. This based on how much everything costs. $7 for a full meal-sized chimichanga was a bargain. And it tasted like Tommy's chili. It was wonderful.
I think we should explain, though, for the listener, just in case anyone's listening to this and they're like, I don't know what Tommy's chili is, but that sounds really good. That must be the best chili in the world. I should go get that immediately because I will get really, really good, well-crafted chili according to my favorite podcast friends. I'm going to tell you.
I don't know that I would think that.
Yeah.
They were right.
Nope.
I
love it. I love Tommy's chili, but if you don't know what you're getting into, just be ready. That's all I'm saying. Try it. But be aware.
Yeah. The original Tommy's, by the way, it's called the original Tommy's. It's only available in California at this point, I think. Versus the one at the Edelweiss snack stand.
Mm-hmm.
I was significantly more sober this time around.
I would imagine. Yeah.
So I would have to say this one was better just because I don't remember the other one.
The other one was bad. Like for drunk food, it was fine. But I'm telling you, it's objectively bad.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the arcade. So
Dramatically
back to our
bad
show.
too, I would say.
And now back to the show.
Okay,
After
fine.
The sponsor, Tommy's original chili.
How about
right, more
one
targets.
last drink was his demand, died-a-reaching, red-eyed Dan.
Is that you?
That's me.
But Jimmy's got the red eye.
I do. Oh my God, it hurts so bad.
He quit drinking.
I'm doing my best at staying with this. All right. What
Which
else,
Shootin'
Eric?
arcade is better?
Well,
one
I think the one that still exists when this episode comes out is probably better. It's a better deal. I'm assuming that you get about 30 shots, I think, at each. It's 50 cents instead of $1. It's open instead of closed. And it's original to Walt Disney. Walt Disney touched it. Not that counts.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he peed there?
He probably peed on it.
Most likely.
In fact, what it used to be was Walt Disney's urine that you would shoot out of the guns like a water pistol.
It fills the balloon.
That's right.
So I also want to add, Disney World fans, if you go to Disneyland and you shoot the shooting gallery guns, the sounds they make are very similar to the sounds that the cannons make in Adventureland at Disney World.
Oh.
You know.
Yeah. That's right.
About as loud.
Anyway, do you have anything else on Frontierland Shooting Exposition, Dan?
Huh? Oh, I thought Eric was just carrying the show at this point. I don't. Eric, do you?
Okay. Eric, do you have anything else for Dan?
Signage outside the Shootin' arcade is There's P.A. Mosey's School of Sharpshooting, teaching students of the highest caliber since 1860.
Caliber, I see. That's
you got it. And then there's also an ad for the Diamond Horseshoe Review, which is sad because right now the Diamond Horseshoe Review is just a player piano.
Oh, you can get food there? No.
You can get food. Yeah. It's
but
food and a player piano. Yeah.
That's right.
I got a question, conceptual question for all
ahead.
of us. Is the Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin a shooting gallery?
So that's what I wanted to bring up, actually, Dan. Are they just the spiritual successors? Your Buzz Lightyears and your Toy Story Manias and your Web Slingers? Is that all it is?
Huh. But you're moving. And
sure. But I guess the point is we'd mentioned that arguably, per Tony Baxter, that the Indiana Jones adventure is a spiritual successor to Star Tours. And it's sort of a motion simulator, but you're actually moving.
Right.
Is not the same true for Buzz Lightyear, which is it's a shooting gallery at targets, but you're moving. Is it a spiritual successor to this thing?
Gallery,
right?
I mean, I'm not trying to be clever.
I feel like it's the same thing. And then a successor to that is the Web Slingers, where you're, slinging your arms, getting robot spiders. It's the same basic idea. It's a shooting gallery that you move around in, right?
Again, it's not that. Yeah.
Right. But I wonder if that's the intent.
Maybe. I don't know how much intent is there. I think that it's more just like a happy coincidence,
Perhaps.
I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not that, like, I don't think that they had that meeting where they're like, right, we gotta, like, let's really up this shooting gallery thing. I think it was more along the lines of, hey, I have this idea for our ride where you shoot at stuff. And then somewhere along the lines, they were like, hey, this is kind of like a shooting gallery, right? And they're like,
Yeah. I don't know.
So you're saying that America loves shooting things.
Sure do.
I'm not saying that. America's saying it.
All right. Well, Eric, anything else from you?
No.
I'll get the music ready.
It seems that the Disneyland Frontierland Shootin' Exposition is the clear winner in that it's open and it's 50 cents. It's cheaper. Animated things. Seems like the actual experience is roughly the same in that you have similar targets. They move and you can get it for 50 cents. There's a change machine right there that takes ones and fives. Make sure to bring out those ones and fives. Until next time. All right. Well, thank you guys for the deep dive on the Frontierland and other shooting galleries, expositions, and arcades. Listener, that's it. That's what you got. And you can still do the one at Disneyland. We're not sure about Disney World. It is currently closed. And right now it is 4:44 p.m. on a Sunday. So is it closed forever? I don't know.
I keep forgetting to say, I heard that it was free at Disney World at some point.
I did too, but evidently not.
Huh.
Evidently not. Yeah.
I don't. More of Corliss's lies. Come at us, Corliss.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you to Alex and Paxton for joining us for the follow-up from the Hub Crawl. Mm-hmm. Listen to the Hub Crawl.
Yep.
I'm sure the next episode will be talking about shooting galleries. And is that it? Anything else, guys?
You talk about Ears Up?
Oh yeah, that's right. There's Ears Up. There's Concierge too. We had a great. Have we talked about Concierge Retreat? Oh, we were on the episode. We had that live recording.
Yep.
Yeah. They're great. Concierge is great. Ears Up is a show, and Eric's on that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Scraping the Vault, the Puny Pods on a show about Marvel. And I'm sure they're talking about the Acolyte there on the Star Wars show, Bantha Milk, and Scraping the Vault. We're about to finish our animated straight-to-video sequels, and we're going to move on to live-action remakes.
Yeah, because we're talking about the crossover, right?
And then there's a crossover episode where we're going to talk with Figures Up. Eric will be there. We're going to talk about Ernest Goes to Splash Mountain. So stay tuned.
And then you're going to do all the live action remakes.
Live action remakes, and we'll be the only show on the network that does that.
Yep. I'm looking forward to everyone finding out that we will, in fact, be the only show doing that.
That's right. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Be good to each other. Disneyland Shootin Exposition is the supreme shooting exposition on account of it being the only one open. And until next time, court is adjourned.
Hello and goodbye. Fresh Photo.
I really want to watch us on the Fresh Baked. Which episode was that?
Oh, I'll send it to you.
Send it to us. It'd be kind of fun.
What? My Grammarly is off? What if I say things wrong?
Yeah, sorry guys. I was very distracted by this shooting pain in my eye.
You're good. I get what you did there.
No, I didn't mean to. Coincidence. But I'll give you.
Hi, I'm the sponsor today. My name's Dan. You know me from the show that I'm currently sponsoring. The product that I am advertising as the sponsor is a Skibbity toilet. It's a delightful toilet which will have a cartoon head pop out of it, and that head can be your friend or your enemy. It's really up to you. I'm still not really clear on what it's supposed to be in the cartoons, but it's a little toilet insert, much like the little blue inserts that you have that make your toilet blue, and then it grows into a cartoon head that will pop up and sing the same song over. Yes, we have a question from the gathering here. Yes.
Oh, the boys. What do the boys have to say?
Hi. Should I?
What's your name and where are you calling from? What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Jimmy from the upstairs.
Okay, from upstairs.
Should I close down this thing or do we stop recording?
I'll stop recording. I'll start another thing.
Okay.
And listener, if you would also like to stop recording, you can purchase Skibbity Toilet today.
Skibbity.